So here are our top 7 tips on managing small business teams. Let's go through them. The first one is to recruit on attitude. So many times we don't know who to hire when we're looking for our team. And attitude is definitely the first one that you should be considering. It really is important to match characteristics to the role. So if the person is going to have a customer service role or a sales role, you really want someone that loves people and loves communicating with people rather than someone that their biggest scary thing they could possibly think about would be to meet new people. That is someone you definitely don't want to put in a sales situation. So there are many characteristics that we have, and I personally like looking off the DISC profile, DISC, where you're looking for the dominant director, someone that's assertive, that's really direct in communicating, and can give clear instructions. And then you've got someone, and they're goal orientated as well. And then you've got the I, which is the interactor steady relator. They're also directing, but they're also supporting. So whereas the dominant director is not very supporting, obviously they might learn to be that way, but the interactor socializer is very supporting, but also very direct in the communication. So you can imagine a cheerleader, a lot of hairdressers, a lot of group fitness instructors, people that are outgoing, lots of personality, love a chat, but also can really encourage and tell you what they think as well. Then you have the steady relators, and the steady relators are great at listening. They've got indirect communication, but like the I, they're also passionate about people. And then you've got the cautious thinkers, which are slow and systematic, very precise, seek perfection. They're task orientated, but they're indirect, opposed to the D style personality. So the D style personality is that dominant director. They're direct, they're fast paced. The I is fast paced, people focused. The S's and the C's are slow and steady, and the C's will be seeking compliance, and all that sort of thing. So look, using all sorts of personality. Everyone asks me which is the best one to use. I use everything down to star signs, DISC profiling, all sorts of things, past behavior, business opportunities and previous roles that attracted them. Everything gives me a cheat sheet into how this person is going to be fitted nicely into their role. And you really want to be thinking and listening to what they're saying, thinking about what they're saying and listening to how they're saying it and what they're saying. So you can use DISC profile, you can use a number of things, but really essentially you're not trying to use it to outbid them out of a role. You're trying to fit square peg into a square hole, basically, and they will get the most immense job satisfaction if you're focusing on that. Main things to think about with that thing is, are they people focused? Is this a people job? Are they task focused? Is this a task job? Is this a task or people job that I want them to be fast paced and go for it in, or is it one that I want them to slow down and think about and be steady in? Because there's lots of different roles for different people. And if you get the right match, they'll be really happy and good at their role, and you'll be really happy with them. You want someone with a can-do attitude. You don't necessarily want someone that's got the negative attitude. In saying that, there are some positions that you do want people like that. Some of the reports and the psychological reports show that lawyers are very good at, if they're pessimists, they become very good at their role. Because I guess at the end of the day, with a lawyer, they don't want to have that cheerleader attitude and think that they can win every case, because they'll be sorely mistaken and it won't give them longevity in their role. So there are some things, but definitely in sales, the Nielsen report shows that you do need an optimist and a pessimistic person. But I just think in teams in general, you want people that have a can-do attitude. And if they are required to work in a team or an organisation that there are other people, you definitely want someone that's a team player. So asking things like whether they, played sport as a child is a big indicator if they're a team player, or if they were doing sport on their own, or whether they were sitting in their room playing games on their own. Those sort of questions are really important to ask in an interview situation, or even over a phone interview. And you want someone willing to learn, opposed to someone that think they knows it all. For some reason, the closed mindset, I'm not sure why, but it seems to become popular again. For some reason, I think that there's a lot of ego involved in a closed mindset. People think they know everything. We're in this life to learn everything that we possibly can and grow from our experiences. And I've, been doing this particular role, managing businesses and stuff for over 3 decades, and I'm constantly learning and reading about it and tweaking things and trying new things. And because people change, times change. If you think about management 3 decades ago, very lucky if we had a computer. None of my team would work off their own computer. We didn't have emails. We couldn't contact them that way. People had landlines. Some mobile phones were in existence. There's no way you would have texted a staff member outside hours ever. And let alone, get on their Facebook and send them a message on the messenger or Snapchat them a picture. Like, you just wouldn't communicate that way. So management skills have to evolve as society evolves, and socially we evolve. So someone willing to learn is much better than someone that thinks they know it all in any situation. Constant training. So with constant training, this is probably the most important part, let's be real. Training is everything in an organization, and constant training is the key. So let's break it down. Induction. What is your new staff member experience like? Is it a good day for them? You think about it. No one comes to work saying that I'm going to come to this company and really mess them up. I'm going to have sick days. I'm not going to work. I'm going to ask for more money. I'm going to, do my shift and leave, and then I don't care what happens at the end of the day. No one comes to work and does that. So what has changed in this employee's view throughout their time if they've got a bad attitude? And we've really got to look at ourselves first to say, how have we started them off? How have we inducted them? A great way to do it is get them a manual, and they can go off and they can sit down in a pre-induction training session. So they come to the business for 2 hours before the day they're meant to start, and you can pay for them at whatever, and it just is a pre-induction. So it takes the anxiety away of a new day. It gives them some structure. If you can't do that, maybe you can do some video training and give them a link. It's set up in a YouTube channel on Unlisted, so it's private, and only the people with the links can see the training session. Maybe they're shadowing another team member for the first 2 or 3 shifts to give them structure. And if they are shadowing, please make sure that you get them to do everything. Get them to go to the storeroom. Don't you do everything and show them where everything is. Get them to do it, touch everything, and have a real tangible experience in their induction training. And then what support are you giving them as part of a new induction? Are you giving them your mobile number so that they can contact you if they've got a question? What are the parameters around, have you got boundaries set for them? If they get asked this, then just to take a name and number, and we'll address that tomorrow. Are you giving them structure and support? Really important for that person's first day to go, wow, these people have really going to protect me and grow me. And that's the next point is, is there a career there at your business for them? And it doesn't matter if they're making sandwiches or they're doing a maintenance job in a leisure facility, or even if they come and do the window display in a retail environment to a hairdresser. What career progression are you giving them? They don't want it now, but they need to know that they're going to be developing and growing. Everybody wants to develop and grow. No one wants to get a job on the first day and go, right, there's nothing more for me. I'm going to stay exactly the same as today. For the rest of my time here at this business, I'm not going to grow at all. No one wants that. We all seek to contribute, and we all seek for progression. That's what human beings crave. They seek contribution and purpose, and we all want to grow. We want to grow our experiences. So show them a career path, and it might be not so much a career path, but it might be how they're going to learn, a progression of learning. So the first month is all about you getting the grounding of this done, and you'll learn open and closing procedures in this. And then after 4 weeks, we'll be going into this stage. And then after 3 months, this stage, 6 months, this stage. And after a year, these are all the skill set that you'll have in this role. That's exciting for people. It's exciting for a 17-year-old. It's exciting for a graduate of university. It's exciting for a mother coming back after having time off for the kids. It's exciting for a gentleman that's decided he wants a career change from, financial stuff into a more job that he can put his passion and heart in. It's exciting to see how your company is going to take them along the track of growth development. And you've got to remember, everybody tunes into the station, what's in it for me. So if you expect stuff out of your staff, you better sure as hell put in a channel or a proposed plan to tune into their what's in it for me channel, so you can show them what's in it for them. It's not just about money. If you're going to dive into all the psychology evaluations and all that sort of, and do all the readings about what motivates people, it's never about money first. After Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what we seek is either intrinsically or extrinsically motivated. And most of us seek this contribution and purpose. And we want to know, we want to be connected with who we work for. We want to know they've got our backs and they're developing us. And we want to know they're providing a culture of learning and improving. Constant and never ending improvement is the key. So you don't want to be overwhelming staff, and you don't want to be dumping them. Here's the manual, go read it yourself on the first day without the support. All these things combine to make a very valuable employee and a very good culture in the workplace. The managers and the owners of the company are where it starts at. It can't be created without the managers and owners being on board with this. And it doesn't matter how small their role is or how big and developed it is. Everybody should have the opportunity of starting this way. So constant and never-ending improvement, shadowing, a career path, or even your own culture path. One day, the first month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I mean, that's how you would do it if someone was to lose weight. That's how you do it if you have a baby and what the growth development expectations are of the baby. So why aren't we doing it with our team? We start them up, we tell them what to do, and then we give them hell when they don't do it, and then we wonder why they leave or chuck sicky days. We've got to make sure that there's development support and a culture of constant and never-ending improvement. And then really important after that is establishing the organisation, is setting boundaries and KPIs. We need to know, the managers and owners need to know, what is the award level of pay? Even if we're paying above, we still need to know, what are the entitlements? What is the annual leave entitlements? What is the holiday leave entitlements? What's sick pay entitlements? What are public holiday entitlements? You know, I learned something new this week, and I'm always learning. So, and guess what? Things are changing. During lockdowns, there was different leave availabilities for COVID. So we've got to be on the forefront of knowing this and diving into the information. With Google, we've got access to all of this data now. There's no reason why the people running the organizations don't know this stuff. And then once we know it, we can educate our team that they're on above the award, or they're on the award as part of their induction and their job contracts. And we need to set KPIs and expectations for the day, the week, and the month, right? We need to set these boundaries. What's expected? So we can't just have like rules where Mary's husband can come into the restaurant and just eat free whenever he wants. Or Joanne's husband comes in and does whatever yoga classes he wants. It's got to be the same rules apply to everybody. Otherwise, it's not a professional organisation. So if we want to say that our staff have X perks, well, let's write a policy for that and put it in the contract, rather than someone one day her husband can come in and the next day another staff member's on it, can't. It doesn't breed consistency. So if we want to decide that we own a restaurant and Mary, the chef, her husband can come in and eat free, then we put that in the policy. All staff, not just Mary, but all staff are allowed to have their partner come in and eat at the restaurant for free outside peak hours, potentially. You don't want someone's husband or partner coming in during peak hours of a hairdressing salon, a gym or restaurant, and being able to utilise the services. It's got to be outside peak hours. And maybe you list them as part of your policy. So that's how we do it. Making decisions on the fly never, ever goes well for a business, because then it breeds inconsistency. How can she can do it and I can't, and also breeds resentment. So if someone asks you a question and you don't have a policy, you say, I'll get back to you. And then you go, great, we can add that to our policies and put it into your policy that all staff can have one partner come, or maybe their whole family gets a 20% discount. Okay? That goes in the policy, available for everyone once you've thought about it and decided that's what you want to do. But until then, I would make everybody's partners and things just align to whatever the company policy is. If it's not one, well, then they'll have to pay the same as the customers until we get a policy. So Mary's husband wants to come in and do a class. Sure, that'll be $30 today, but let me check if you would like to do future classes if we can put in a family policy. All right, but just going off the cuff and just saying, sure, you can have free, but there's no policy for this stuff. Remember that one? That doesn't build a very good professional business. So the next point is we've really got to enforce policies, and I guess that was the point before. So the KPIs is about really setting the expectations and showing them what's expected, and then you've got to the benchmarking and the accountability has to be there. We'll talk about that a little bit more. All right, but enforce policies. So we talked about that last example, which is really topical in most businesses. What happens here in this business? That's up to you. Let's make a policy. But the manager and the owner, their roles are to enforce company policies, procedures, and manuals. So I was asked a question yesterday when I was on site doing coaching, and the owner said, well, what would be your opinion of the expectations of the end of day report? Now, I just said, what's in the manual? And I went back in. Because whatever's in the procedures of that company, that's the expectations, not what I think. And that's what we've got to do. So you don't just have to make up ideas on the fly. You need to go back into the manual. And now if there wasn't anything in the manual, then we will assess the situation and we will write a policy on or a procedure on what's expected for that end of day report. And so it's pretty simple. And to build up, if you don't have any of these things in your business, is so easy. You start with one thing and then another and another. And if you want to do it alphabetically, it's such an easy way to do it because then you can slot in information so easily rather than sections. So E for emails, C for closing procedure, O for opening procedure, B for banking, B for bad debtors, M for Microsoft, O for OneDrive, G for Gmail, put in the logins, the passwords, T for telephone, I for internet, all that sort of thing. Put in your policies, put in your procedures. If you don't share your Wi-Fi with customers, Wi-Fi. Our policy is we don't share it because it drops the capacity for us to use our Wi-Fi in working practices when people are in the business, so we don't actually give out our Wi-Fi number. That's your policy. Right? Or maybe it is your policy to give it out, but it goes in your manual. And it makes decision making so much easier in a day. And like I said, when I got asked that question yesterday, I opened the manual and I went into it and there it was. And the procedure was the contacts and the expectations, the KPIs of the staff to match that end of day report were written there in the manual. Now, if they need to be adjusted seasonally, then we adjust it seasonally, and we also write that in the manual. It was so easy to type in 2 extra lines and update things as needed than it is to start. So it's really important that we understand that our role as managers and owners is to enforce all company policies, procedures, and manuals, and we are the only people in this company really representing the company. The staff then represent the divisions. Yeah, so the manager is it. That's hence the word manager. We need to ensure things like insurances. So if your team need to have their insurance policy current, then they do. If you have contractors, you need to see insurances. If you have employees, they'll come under your insurance. You need all first aid requirements up to date for those if it's relevant for your organisation. In childcare, in fitness, health, there always needs to be someone on premises with a first aid certificate. All fitness professionals need their first aid certificate, otherwise their insurance will not be valid. That has been confirmed by AusActive, Yoga Alliance, and many other people. Just Google it. It's all there in documentation. Trainer certification. So if you've got a lifeguard that's got a personal training certificate, but he doesn't have a lifeguard thing, but he says that, well, I've actually done lifeguarding down at my local beach, but he's not got his lifeguarding requirements, he doesn't do lifeguarding. It's simple as day. Because if one incident happened in that event while he was on watch, your insurance won't cover you. You need to really understand how insurance policies work. You need to know the repercussions. Unfortunately, in the last 3 decades in the health and wellness industry, I've actually had 4 people die in a facility that I've managed. And I've also seen the repercussions of other people dying in other companies I've been associated with, or being extremely injured, or even just having emergency issues. So at all times with those people dying, work cover is called out. every single person on deck at that day in the event, you need to produce the customers' documentation and waivers. You need to produce the teachers' documentation and waivers, and any other team members that were present. And it all needs to be up to date, and you need to present everything. And I had to do that multiple times. If one of those documentation is not up to date, your business could be found negligent, and also could even be close to being negligent to that person's death, even worse. So obviously homicide gets ruled out by the police first, but work cover come in to see if there's negligence by the company. And then the insurance companies come in because they want to see, are you following all the procedures? For an example, in a gym, if a customer's on the premises without signing a waiver, the person that let them in will be personally liable because, one, the company requires them to sign a waiver, don't they? So if that staff member chooses not to do that and someone's upstairs in a pump class or a yoga class doing a class and his team member's going, go through, you're my friend, or you're at the coffee shop next door, whatever, if that staff member has chosen not to enforce policy, then the insurance company won't back up the business, and that person will be liable for all damages. Now, I'm not an expert on law. I'm only talking from my experience, which has been a lot. I've been to court many times, and I've been to also negligent course. I've been to injury court cases as well. And like I'm telling you, the experience has been amazing from our company, because in all cases our company had every bit of documentation that we needed. But I've seen many companies in trouble that I don't personally work with, but I've asked for my help, that haven't got the documentation there. And never ever do you want to work in a company that you put yourself personally liable for. So nothing is worth it. So if a customer come in and they don't want to sign a waiver, and I won't let them through, I'll tell them to leave. The money that they want to pay for their casual visit or whatever it is not worth the repercussions if they hurt themselves. And let's be honest, someone that doesn't want to sign a waiver isn't someone that's going to let you off lightly either. They're going to push you all the way. Another example, I've seen a case on litigation. A trainer was, one of the members had joined a gym. She had written down that she had a really bad knee injury. The trainer had seen this pre-screening, and the first exercise she gave was lunge walking. Lady's knee blew out, and the company got sued. You've got to pay attention to those things that are on the documentation. So, you don't really need specifically to be an Einstein to realise that if someone has an injury, say they've got a high blood pressure condition, well, you're not going to put them into a high energy HIIT class straight away. All right, so you just need to understand that your recommendations are based off their parameters. And this appeals to any industry. You've got to really make sure that you know what you're doing when it comes to waivers, and you need to know the repercussions for you personally. Last case that I'm going to explain is in Adelaide. There's a studio. A person was on a reformer bed. They were asked several times not to do this next advanced move. Everybody else, or some people in the class, did the advanced move. She was instructed based on her ability and what she was presenting with to sit back into a modified version. Well, the teacher turned around. After 3 or 4 times she was instructed not to do it, and the lady's doing it. She fell off the reformer and broke her hand. Now, she was also a beautician, so that means that she was out of work for several weeks and she couldn't run her own business, so she sued the trainer and the business for this injury, and the court case is still going. So make sure that you know that you're up to date with your insurance. Make sure that your insurance, your first aid, and all your certifications are in the same ABN. Otherwise, you may not be covered. And make sure that if, as a manager, you need to make sure no one starts the business and starts doing things unless the policies, all of them, are required to meet their guidelines of their position before they start. So give them the heads up, get them organised, help them book in, and get them organised and book in, and then keep a spreadsheet and keep up to date of when everything expires, and send them emails out saying next month your CPR expires, you need to renew it every year. Otherwise, if it's not renewed, I'll need to suspend your contract, or I'll need to suspend your employment until it is. Let them know the repercussions, get them organised a month ahead, and keep your business and you personally in safe space when it comes to litigation. So, but that applies, this information applies to all policies that you do, not just first aid. It's really important that you know that if your company has policies, say the policy is to open at 5 p.m. and you decide that you're going to start opening at 4:30. Well, what is the impact then on insurance? Maybe you're not insured before that because it's outside company hours. I don't know. Check with your insurance company. But just remember, you can't just go do things in an organisation and a company without knowing what the repercussions are. So that's a good one. And there was a business, a childcare business, and what they decided to do is they decided because people weren't picking up their kids right at the time that they were going to start charging a late fee of $10 per half hour or hour, whatever it was. So they started charging the $10. So instead of the customers thinking, well, they're being punished, the customers saw it as a fee for service. And so more and more people started being late and picking up their kids, having to pay the $10. Because I guess if you're stuck in a meeting, you think, well, this is easy. I'll just pay the $10 when I get there. And that didn't work for that organisation very well. So what they did is they went out to all the customers and they said, hi, we would just like your support. We have our team here from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. to look after your kids while you're at work, and we look after your family in that time. However, at that time we would like to go home and look after our own families and connect with our own families. So we're asking you, we're stopping the fee, and we're asking you that you come early and you pick your child up on time, so that our team that look after your family all day are able to then go spend time with their family. And so that little heart to heart had more impact on than putting this policy in place. So see how not always is that policy going to be taken in the way that you set it out to be. Instead of being a punishment, people saw it as a fee for service. You beauty, now they're offering after creche hours. So just reflect over your policies. Are they working for you? Are your procedures working for you? And implement them to a T, and don't change them. Don't divert off them. If you're going to divert off them, then change them. And someone wise once told me, a system is not a system unless everybody does everything all the time. So make sure everybody's doing everything. And even I do that. I stick to the manual, and if it needs changing, I'll make changes when needed once it's been thought through. And after all that's done, inspect what you expect. So daily end of day reports, if needed, will get them sent to the owners of the business based on your KPIs required of the day. Could be sales, lead generation, retention, could be income, could be fluctuations in attendance or customers. Team meetings, must do team meetings. Just because you work tightly with someone doesn't mean that you their little chit chat blah 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 isn't taken on as a structured work meeting. Team meetings with minutes every single week, and that way you stick to agendas, and you can also go back and check what's been done. So meetings with the general minutes, that also can get sent to people that couldn't attend the meeting. Nowadays with Zoom and everything, people can also dial in. It does make it hard unless everybody's on a different Zoom. Try not get people sitting around one computer. I would always suggest every single person has their own login. They can log in off their phone or off their own laptop and dial in. Makes it much easier for for the team to hear and to concentrate on what's been said, rather than a big group dynamic that you can look around the room. Get a headset on, be focused in the moment in that meeting. If you don't have a team that could come together, then why not do a 4 o'clock on a Friday Zoom team training or a team meeting with an element of general business and an element of training. Okay. Pop in, call in when the manager's not in. So if you've got a business that's running on the weekend and the manager's not there, pop in, check in what's going on, call up, see what's happening, see how they're answering the phone. I popped into a business last week that I work with that I don't usually pop into, and the staff members weren't in uniform. I thought that was really interesting, isn't it? Every time I go there for a meeting, they're all in full uniform, decked up. They weren't at all in uniform. So I popped in on a public holiday, regular staff member, not in uniform. And so that was reported. The question is, though, if she's come to work like that in her whatever freestyle clothing, what's her attitude like then too? If their role is to wear a uniform the whole shift and to come to work dressed to work, then what's her attitude to come to work? How's she going to work on that day? And surprise, surprise, no sales and no activity was done. So a good kid, but probably maybe she thinks no one cares and no one's checking up, so why bother? So sometimes people think that, even though there might be a good staff member, they just think, well, if no one cares, why should I care? So show you care. And mystery shopping is a really great way to do that. I do a lot of mystery shopping. You'd be surprised how poorly a lot of businesses rate when they're mystery shopped overall with the level of consistency. And you can really tell the difference between a business that's constantly training their team and having meetings and KPIs and reporting, and those that are not. It might be a great business, but you can see the structure's not there. And what I'm looking for in a mystery shopping is complete consistency. So is someone doing something the same way? Are they following a procedure that you can see there's some sort of organizational procedure? And to be honest, I'm so easy to mystery shop, to be as a customer. I'm really open. I'm trying to help the person. I'm naturally always helpful with sales, even if I'm doing my own shopping, because I love helping people and training people. So, to be honest, I'm not one of those cranky buyers, and I don't have high expectations. But it's mystery shopping is always, if I get a mystery shopping call, generally it's because they know things are wrong. And even like to a point where I was mystery shopping an organization, and their role is when their staff turn up is to log in on the phones. And many hours were lost in this mystery shopping because I would be on the phone for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, and I'd have to hang up. And we discovered that the team weren't even logging in. So all the customers ringing in with queries, none of them were getting through. And the business was obviously losing a ton of money because staff forgot to log in to the phone lines when they got to work. So that whole procedure has to change. So can you imagine, you put all this money out for marketing or AdWords or whatever, and the phones aren't even ringing through to the department that they want to ring through to. They're meant to ring through to. So mystery shopping is really important. And when you get someone like myself that knows exactly what I'm looking for on the phone or in person, you get a great report of what's going on. Weekly one-on-one. So breaking it down with your team and going through every week. They have, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, one-on-one with a manager or a team coordinator. Sit down and go, right, what are your wins from last week? What's your work-ons from last week? And we sit there and review. Remember, we said from right at the beginning, there's got to be constant and never improvement, and there's got to be support and investment, and we're tuning into what's in it for me channel. Right, so let me help you grow. And then half-yearly reviews are really important. Again, that's tuning into the what's in it for me and yearly reviews. And when I reviewed teachers, like group fitness teachers or anybody in fitness, in the service delivery aspect, quite commonly they will say, I've been in this industry for 2 decades and no one ever has reviewed me. And so what a way to grow the team very quickly, let them know what they're doing right and give them a couple of tips for rooms for growth. They will be so over the moon that someone has taken time to invest in them and their practice. It's just mind-blowing how people don't get reviewed. I wonder when's the last time a hairdresser gets a review from her teammate or her manager. I mean, I know they get to see each other and work with each other, but when has someone sat down with them and gone through a review, or even one-on-ones weekly? It could be like, your product sales are phenomenal. You do 1 out of every second person is buying product at the moment. Great job. And that is their one-on-one review. Great job. It's that recognition and reward, or it's areas of growth, areas of training. And then another tip from management is to be solution driven. So a lot of the time managers come up with all the problems in the world. Why? Because they get the problems. The managers are the ones that are meant to be managing. Like, they get the problems. We know that daily. If you want to be a manager, you've got a schedule of problems coming your way every single day. And on the days you don't, well, great job. But what are the problems? Then what are the solutions? And come up with a number of solutions to each problem. So this is my biggest problem today to tackle. Give yourself 3 solutions. And if you can't come up with it, dial a friend. Hey, I've got this problem. Get a business coach. Speak to the owner of the business. Speak to a peer. Speak to someone that might be on your team. We might have the biggest problem might be we just can't get good staff. Well, let's take a look at ourselves first, not blame everyone else, because why all the other places got good staff? Let's figure out what we're doing wrong and take a really good hard look at yourself and go, what are we doing wrong? Well, we're not doing induction properly. We aren't doing some of the things in this program. We're throwing people into the deep end and then we're expecting them to connect. They're thinking, what the hell's this company? There's no structure, no policies, no procedure, no professionalism. I'm out. So just remember, what are the problems? What are the solutions? Okay. Know that you can fix anything. Empower yourself to go, right, I've got 6 problems in front of me. I can fix it all. And prevention management is key. So once you get through the fires of today, then sit down. Tomorrow is not rest. Tomorrow's like, right, what have been the biggest 5 problems of the last week, of the last month? How can we put in measures to prevent them from ever happening again? So if it's the fact that our training system is not up and running, well, what are we going to do about it? Right, step 1, we have an induction process. Step 2, we're going to record 5 how-to videos and put them on YouTube so that any new staff member can access that at any time, and we've got links for them to start doing some induction training. Step 3, step 4, step 5, and then you've got to connect. You've got to commit to it though. Can't be just like, that's the solution, done. But prevention management is something missed by most small businesses because people say they don't have enough time. Why don't they have enough time? Because they're too busy whacking moles, like solving the problems, right? Solve the problems on your rest day off. Get a prevention management strategy in place. Go back through the last week. What are the worst problems that happen? How do we prevent them from happening? Fix it. Then the next week, then the next week, then the next week, and you'll get to a point where problems reduce dramatically. SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats is always a good one to help to be solution driven. So if you've got a major problem like a serious competitor coming in, sit down, SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities and what are the threats? And go through each quadrant so thoroughly that you really know then where you can develop some action plans moving forward. And then reward with heart. So once we get in place the structure, the policies, we go through be solution driven. We've got our KPIs in place. We know all the requirements for all our staff. We've set really clear intentions. We know about the training policy. We've even got a training plan now. Then what we've got to do is reward with heart. So celebrate achievements, celebrate growth, no matter how small, celebrate milestones such as, anniversaries or whatever. And team bonding activities are great once you have the culture in place. If you don't have a good culture, no one's going to come to team bonding and no one's going to buy in. So you've got to get these other things first. Don't start this whole training program today with that being your first thing because it's fun, because it won't work. You've got to do it the way it's been scheduled. These series are in order. You've got to get your policies in place first, and you've got to protect the business. Then people come to the business. You've got to recruit with attitude. Find the people with the right attitude. I don't want anybody coming to team bonding with a bad attitude and they're on their way out. That's just going to, what's the point? You got to train the guts out of them. Train them. 30 years in the same industry, in the same thing. I love sales. I love training, and I'm training constantly myself. I'm reading multiple books, constantly I've booked 3 training sessions moving forward on different things. And I'm always investing in myself. A lot of the time I do have a break, though, I must admit, but then you just keep moving forward. Maybe I do podcasting instead as my break. And that's what you've got to do. Constantly listen and learn. Team bonding will come once you've got that structure in place and they feel safe. Lead with heart. But leading with heart doesn't mean that you be mates. Leading with heart means you lead like a lion. You are strong. You are at the front. They follow behind. Being all kind and collaborative is not an organization. That's a friendship or a community. In your business, people seek structure and professionalism. You can have a community as long as you've got all of those other things in place. Otherwise, you'll end up with people trying to take over and riots. If there's no leader, then someone from the bottom pack's going to try and become the leader. And you'll get apathy. No one gives a shit. We've had that in businesses before, haven't we? So keep it 100% professional. I wouldn't be using any like cutesy names for people. It's got to be, hey Mary, can you please get me that? Not, hey hun. Like hun, if anyone called me hun in a business, it's so unprofessional. It's how you speak to your friends, but you're disrespecting me as a working professional. So it's got to be, hey, Amanda, can you please get this done for me today? No worries. Not, hey, hun, hey, babe. Oh my God. It just blows my mind how people talk like this in a work organization. Okay? It's almost patronizing, let's be honest. Almost patronizing. And if it was across different sexes, it could even be seen as harassment. So you've got to be super careful, even though there was no intent there. So the whole culture begins with this clean cut understanding and respect for each other. You lead like a lion with heart from the beginning, and you keep it professional. So it is a workplace. Keep it that. The customers create a community, but the staff aren't there for fun. It's not their leisure time. They're there to work, learn, grow, contribute, and have purpose. And they're not there for anything else. And sometimes people say to me, "Oh, we should all go, and do this or that." And I think, you know what? If I want to go to the movies, I'll go with my friends. I'm not going to the movies with these people. I want to go with my mates. Or I'm not going to invest time with these people. If I'm going to do that, like if I'm going to go on holiday, I'll go on holiday with my family. So you've got to think about it. Like, what are we doing here? What outcomes are we trying to achieve? And with team bonding, the idea is trying to make it something that they'll get something out of it. So whether it's bowling and you put people in pairs that don't normally work with each other that you want, or you want put them in pairs of where you want to develop the relationship. Avoid alcohol if you can. I know that sometimes alcohol can make the parties more fun, but they can also make it turn sour. People tell you what they really think. If there's any animosity in the business, it's also not. Do things that are great, like really team bonding, skill based. It could be that you go to a conference together. It could be a sales training. It could be mindfulness training. It could be like a management training. Even just training, let's be honest, is team bonding. Listening to someone's idea is team bonding. So if you don't have all this in organization and you want to go do lawn bowls, that's not going to help the problem. So you've got to have all the ticks and boxes of all these things in first before you go off and play. So your team bonding could be going to the beach and just having family picnic day. But that's good, remember, if all these in place. So your original team bonding stuff is your staff training, inducting them well, hiring people with attitude, having a can-do attitude, and that will help the team bonding moving forward. And team bonding is about covering each other's shifts, classes, whatever it is, and not leaving the business up for dry just because I can't make my end of the deal today. I'm sick, too bad. That is not team bonding. So go through this workshop. You can stop and pause and reflect, and you can try and put in as many things back into the business as you need to. But remember, the owner and the manager, particularly the manager of people in any division or the business, is completely responsible 100% for all this to happen.